the key issue here, as you highlighted, the embedded carbon in the manufacture of the vehicle itself. When you think about making a car, as you said, steel, aluminium, glass, there's a huge amount of carbon emitted in the creation of those materials and putting those materials together. The key finding here, though, is that EVs in general are heavier than internal combustion engine cars. They contain more steel, the brakes are bigger, the battery packs are certainly heavier. And so when they leave the factory, these EVs are at a disadvantage, if you like, in terms of whole-of-life carbon to internal combustion engine cars. So the implications of that, as you highlighted, to gain the environmental dividend that governments are looking for, users are going to have to keep them longer, drive them further than they may have done with a conventional internal combustion engine vehicle.
Okay, and it just makes me wonder, Simon, it feels as though the genie's out of the bottle here. I mean, governments are demanding more electric cars. Consumers are finally catching on. Do you think there are any investor implications to this issue on perhaps not being as green as some people think? Because if we're talking about certain funds just getting involved for ESG reasons, do you think there is any potential backlash?
I don't know if there's a backlash. I think that the read-through for investors is the way this gets solved, and it will get solved. So the embedded carbon in EVs will eventually come down to potentially where it is with conventional vehicles. But the way this whole thing gets solved is greener steel. I don't think many people are talking about the greening of the steel industry. The Chinese are talking about it as a result of their 2060 net zero commitment. So they're looking at it. I think investors should start to look at green steel. The use of hydrogen in the manufacturing process for steel as well is something to look at. And also, I'd be looking really closely at the battery technology, because the secret here is more energy-dense batteries to bring down the weight and potentially bring down the embedded carbon. But you touched on something as well, the amount of copper required in EVs versus the amount of copper required for an internal combustion engine vehicle. This is something investors really need to focus on. There's enough copper out there in the world, but when you factor in wind, solar, that's a whole separate theme. But the amount of copper needed in this space is potentially going to drive copper prices even higher than they currently are.